So
Now, can you imagine you and me?
I'm the
Right.
wrong person to ask. There's
So,
there's there's no joy here, Sarah. Spending money, sleeping, and doing this
but I mean, come on,
podcast.
you owned a business. I mean, do you do this foolishness at a business?
No.
So anyway, basically, Peter is in his article is making the argument that Baldoni isn't a bad guy, but they've kind of let this faith lead all of their meetings, and
Mm.
so both parties are wrong. He shouldn't have been so religious, touchy-feely, joyous, all this stuff. And she was creeped out by this. It was too much for her, too over the top with, and he also believes he can speak to the dead because of the Baha'i faith and all this stuff. I kind of like that stuff. I think that's a little kooky, and I'd be like, okay, tell me more. Like, who are you talking to?
You
My wife
like it,
speaks to the
but you
dead.
haven't signed up for the psychic source with code Velvet. Pay the
I don't believe any of
$20.
it. I don't believe any of it. I don't believe any of it. Anyhow, so there's a lot of great development. So that was an article, but in it, Peter kept changing the language of there is a complaint. Jenny Slate made a complaint. No, Sony was just aware of her feelings. Then it went back to a complaint. Then it went back to no, there's no complaint. So no one can understand why he's changing this. Is this Sony putting pressure on the Hollywood Reporter? What is going on? The other big thing about her amended complaints is she's asked for a protective order, which essentially means that she wants documents that they submit sealed from the public because she's being harassed so much. Baldoni's team is pushing back on that, saying, I don't think so, sweetie. You're the one that allowed it leaked. Your civil complaint in December should have been private, period. The only people that would have known about that are you and your lawyers. So you leaked that or your PR people leaked it, okay? So now that the cat's out of the bag, you want to accuse us of sexual harassment, ruin my career, this whole thing, but you want us to pull back? Uh-uh. So they're pushing back on that, saying,
Good.
nope, she's you've already started it and you're not going to be, able to do it. So we will see where he gets with that. And then the other thing they're pushing back on is she has asked the court to give all phone records of Baldoni. She wants to subpoena everything. And he's saying,
Mm.
sis, you got no right to go into my text messages. So we'll see. We're going to get a verdict on some of those very soon, but they continue to go back and forth. And then the last thing I'll say about this, which is fascinating, is Lively's legal team is now coming after content creators and podcasters, warning them, giving a warning and calling out Perez
And
Hilton and Candace Owens by name.
they
I
they
think it's
they
a
they said
veiled.
that by name. So what did they say? This is
Well, they're
interesting.
very interesting. They're using this whole thing, this PO. They want a PO order because
This
they
is
say,
lively. They're saying we what? We're like they're the ones calling out the podcasters.
yeah, Blake Lively's team. They're saying that essentially what's happening is um, all these Perez, Candace, myself, we're just parroting all of Baldoni's crap, and we should be warned that what is being put out there isn't true. We're repeating it, and that's why they want certain information. Uh,
She's basically saying all the podcasters are Team Baldoni. Is that
mhm,
it sounds like what she's saying?
mhm,
That
mhm.
can and she specifically says such as these big podcasts, Sarah Fraser Show, Candace Owens, and Perez Hilton.
Her legal team noted the existence of certain online content creators who frequently parrot Wayfair Party's line. As examples, they cited Perez Hilton and Candace Owens and noted that Hilton and
Wow.
Baldoni have been represented by the attorney Brian Friedman. So basically, they're
Right.
accusing people like Owens, myself, of being Team Baldoni and taking all that information and tainting the jury pool further and ruining Lively's reputation.
Excuse me, I told you weeks ago that Mr. Friedman was Perez's attorney. Perez said it himself in the beginning. He said, this is my attorney as well." Then Perez started saying things like, "I got information from an exclusive source," and he's like, "It's not who you think." So he was clarifying that it's not. Look, I don't think Brian Freeman is leaking him information. I mean, that's
I
attorney
do.
attorney-client privilege,
Eh,
Dolly.
okay. Okay.
But well, it's very interesting when podcasters get called out. Okay, Perez and Candace. I don't know if they're gonna get that. I see what Friedman is saying. Like, you started this, and we're gonna get this. Well, Perez has also said, other than claiming that he is the original influencer. He has also demanded that he's like, why he thinks, you tell me if you agree with this because you're on the case, Sarah Fraser. He thinks if Blake and Ryan just said, we are so sorry, Justin. This is what Perez said. We are so sorry. We started this. It spun out of control. We didn't really mean all of this. We should have just had a call. We should have just worked this out. We shouldn't have invited the public in on this. We are actually sorry. We are making a formal apology in front of the whole world to Mr. Justin Baldoni. Now, Perez also says he would like them to donate $400 million to, because that is what he's doing. Perez is a little out of touch here. They're not going to do all this. But I mean, maybe they could donate 10 million, 25 million, something small for those two. But regardless of the money, he thinks that if they said, we are actually sorry, Justin Baldoni, that Justin would say, okay, and this whole thing would go away. What do you think about this, Sarah?
Well, I don't think it's up to Justin Baldoni. We all know it's about money. It's Steve
Hmm.
Sarowitz's call because Sarowitz is the money behind it. Baldoni, unfortunately, is the victim. Um, I don't know. I don't know what Steve Sarowitz is like. I mean, if is Steve Sarowitz like, oh, I've got the money, the time, I'm going all the way. I cannot see this. I can't see this going to trial. I really cannot. We have so much time. I think at some point the news cycle is going to be taken over by another story, and I think that will be their opportunity to settle somehow. I mean, because the thing is, I think it's over for Lively, regardless of this outcome.
You do?
Yeah, I don't think she's going to work again for a very long time in Hollywood. And now I think it's actually just about protecting Ryan Reynolds' career because he's the star, he's the
That's
franchise,
Deadpool and shit.
Deadpool.
That's no joke.
And it's like, is Ryan Reynolds, all the money behind Ryan Reynolds, they do not want to go to trial. Taylor Swift does not want to go to trial. You're dealing with the best of the best attorneys. And I think her career is just sacrificed for. I just think I don't know what they're thinking because here's the thing. If Justin Baldoni didn't have the backing of Steve Sarowitz, I think that the narrative would be totally different. I think we'd be like, we would have run Justin Baldoni out of town.
But
Why
Sarowitz
they
is a
would
billionaire
go,
and he owns the
and
production company.
it's all about money, why they would go toe to toe, even though they're worth 400 million, 500 million, Lively and Reynolds, why they would go toe to toe with another billionaire who's got the time, the money, the resources, the top.
And
I
doesn't
don't
have the
know.
fame. And doesn't have the fame. I mean, we all know that we're all, I mean, this world, I mean, you're fame whores. Like, as Sarah Fraser says, when Kelly Dodd comments on me, don't clap back because that is clapping
Oh,
down.
punching way down. I mean, way
Right,
down.
since this show is way bigger than hers will ever be. So
Oh,
you say, just let the little Dodd go psychotic, which
oh.
I do. She's crazy, right? Who cares? I mean,
Yes.
she's,
Like, wait till, like, I mean, if Candace Owens was beefing with us, then
oh,
we'd be punching all day.
oh my God. That would
Punch
be,
up.
wouldn't that be
Yeah, but
good?
Kelly Dodd and Rick, it's like, oh,
But that's your
I don't
point.
know.
But that's my
Pass him
point.
a pass him a bush light down there, and oh, poor
Give him a
things.
fucking low-cal beer and that
I
Kelly.
know.
I hear she's drunker than ever these days, but I mean that's what I hear. I don't know. But
But look, what did we learn from Karen Huger? What did we just learn from Karen
But
Huger?
by the
You
way,
can
that's
be
my
so
point.
delusional.
This person's not famous. So isn't that like isn't this great? You're a billionaire and you're going against Blake and Justin? Like isn't that like your dream in life? I don't
Maybe.
know.
I don't know. You got to know these people's motivations. You have to know, are these people, Blake and Ryan are giving me Karen Huger vibes, where they do
Really?
not believe, yeah, aren't they? I don't think they think
Yeah.
for 1 second they're wrong. I think she really feels that Baldoni's a creeper. I think whether it was religious based or not, she thinks he's weird. She thinks he's a nut. She thinks he's a predator.